level. 2 more at 5. Watch him. Get that one at 3.
When you're a child, you don't even think about whether your father is a great man or not. I knew he was a good father. Any one of us 6 kids could tell this story. None of us could do it full justice in the time we have today. After enlisting in the Army as a B-17 tail gunner at the end of World War II, my father married Joyce. They celebrated 67 anniversaries together. Dad received a direct commission as second lieutenant and was called back to active duty in November 1948. In March 1951, at the peak of the Korean War, he was assigned to the 1st Cavalry Division, serving as a platoon leader, Company XO, and then an infantry company commander. Dad was in the thick of fighting off mass wave attacks by the Chinese and North Korean soldiers. Throughout his life, Dad had recurring nightmares where he relived the terror of those days and nights. He received the Purple Heart for mortar shrapnel wounds to the top of his hands and returned safely to the U.S. in February 1952. Dad graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1955 and traveled to New Delhi, India with his wife and 4 children as a Foreign Area Specialist Army Attaché. It was an adventure for the entire family. It's hard to imagine what it was like for my mother, a Michigan farm girl, to travel around India with 4 kids. She learned to speak the Hindi language and conversed with the Indian diplomats at U.S. embassy parties. Life was never dull in the Benedict household. As a major, when Dad attended Command and Staff School at Fort Leavenworth, it wasn't unusual for a foreign exchange general officer from Laos to be cooking an exotic dish in our own kitchen. Dad was an avid outdoorsman who loved to hunt and fish, so his 6 kids grew up around guns. Army bases had big guns to catch a child's imagination. In 1965, following his promotion to Lieutenant Colonel, Dad transferred to the Military Intelligence Corps and was assigned to command the 319th Military Intelligence Battalion at Fort Shafter, Hawaii, U.S. Army Pacific. We traveled as a family by ocean liner for the first and only time. For the family, Hawaii was beautiful, but while we were enjoying it, Bill was busy in the jungles of Viet Nam serving 2 tours during 3 years, to include the Tet Offensive. As the G2 intelligence officer for the 1st Infantry Division, he spent over 1,000 hours flying overhead in UH-1 helicopters. He supported combat operations and managed intelligence collection. His helicopter was shot down by enemy fire twice. The second time, a large caliber round passed through the floor, his seat cushion, and pierced his wallet. It exited behind him and killed the aircraft machine gunner. After Vietnam, Dad eventually retired from the Army in 1974 with over 30 years of service. Finally, he had more time to fish, but he loved seeing children and grandchildren and stayed engaged in our lives. He leaves many great memories and was a kind and gentle man of honor and integrity. There is no question that Dad's experience in the military was deeply tied to his identity. He loved his country and served with honor and distinction. But family was always important to him. Dad also loved our spouses and won their affection and trust. He was thrilled to be able to see 4 of his children commissioned to serve as officers in the military and participated in our marriages and births. He took special joy to see his grandchildren serve in the military. Our family gatherings were full of joy. and Dad always felt privileged to put on his uniform for a special event such as a wedding. He had an incredible memory for detail and was a great storyteller. We never grew tired of hearing him talk about his experiences in the military. He was able to officiate at his son Leith's retirement in July 2011. In August 2013, for my retirement ceremony, he visited the World War II Memorial and the Viet Nam Wall in Washington, D.C. At that ceremony, Dad wore the Army black beret for the very first time. As he was leaving, my son Timothy helped him with the Army beret for the very last time. Today we honor a distinguished soldier, a devoted husband, a loving father, and a good and decent man. He is proud to wear his uniform as we lay him to rest in this final ceremony.